Adrian Blackwood had everything money could buy: 3 mansions, private jets, international companies bearing his name, but inside his massive glass-walled villa, peace was something he could never purchase. Since the death of his wife 2 years earlier, his life had turned into a carefully controlled system of silence, security, and suspicion. His 6-year-old son, Leo, was the only reason he still woke up every morning, yet lately, even that comfort had been slipping away. Leo had become quiet, withdrawn, flinching at sudden sounds, clinging desperately to the young nanny Adrian had hired only 3 months ago, a poor, soft-spoken woman named Clara. And that bothered Adrian deeply. Clara came from nothing. She lived in a tiny rented room on the edge of the city, wore second-hand clothes, and sent most of her earnings back to her sick mother. Adrian had hired her not out of kindness, but convenience. She was cheap, available, and had glowing references. But the way Leo reacted to her, how he followed her everywhere, cried when she left the room, refused to sleep unless she sat beside his bed, made Adrian uneasy. In Adrian's world, attachment always came with a hidden cost. Whispers from the household staff only fueled his paranoia. "She spends too much time alone with the child," one maid muttered. "She cries in his room at night," another said. A security guard casually mentioned seeing Clara kneeling beside Leo's bed, whispering something through tears. To Adrian, a man who trusted contracts more than people, it sounded like manipulation. Brainwashing, even. The thought that a poor nanny could be emotionally controlling his son ignited something dark inside him. So Adrian did what he always did when fear knocked. He turned to control. Without informing anyone, he ordered the installation of hidden cameras throughout the house. Not in obvious places. In corners. Behind decorative vents. Near the nursery. In Leo's bedroom. In the hallway. In the playroom. Every angle. Every second. He told himself it was for Leo's safety. But deep down, it was for his own peace of mind. He wanted proof. Proof that Clara was dangerous. Proof that he was right. The first night, Adrian sat alone in his private study, lights dimmed, a glass of untouched whiskey beside him as multiple camera feeds glowed across a massive screen. Clara appeared on one of them, guiding Leo gently to his room. She knelt to his height, smiling softly as she helped him change into pajamas. Adrian leaned forward, jaw clenched, waiting for something, anything, suspicious, but what he saw unsettled him for a different reason. Leo suddenly began to cry. Not loud, but the silent kind, small shoulders shaking, hands clutching the fabric of Clara's scrubs. Clara froze, then slowly wrapped her arms around him. She didn't rush. She didn't scold. She simply held him as if the world outside the room didn't exist. "I miss Mommy," Leo whispered. Adrian's breath caught. Clara closed her eyes tightly. Her lips trembled. Then she whispered back, "I know, sweetheart. I miss her too." Adrian stiffened. How dare she say that? But Clara continued, voice barely audible. "Your mommy was very brave. She loved you more than the sky loves the sun. And loving someone that much, it never really goes away." Leo pressed his face into her shoulder. Clara stroked his hair, tears sliding silently down her cheeks. She stayed like that for nearly 20 minutes, rocking him gently until he fell asleep. Adrian leaned back slowly, confusion replacing anger. That wasn't manipulation. That was grief. Shared grief. Night after night, Adrian watched. And each night, the cameras revealed things he was not prepared to see. Clara cooked Leo's meals separately, cutting vegetables into tiny shapes to make him smile. She whispered encouragements when he struggled to read. She sat outside the bathroom door when he was sick, refusing to leave even when staff offered to take over. One night, Adrian saw Clara kneeling on the cold nursery floor, praying softly while holding Leo's inhaler, begging God not to let the boy suffer the way her younger brother once had. That moment hit Adrian like a punch. Her brother, Adrian, dug into her background. What he found shattered his assumptions. Clara had lost her younger brother to a chronic illness 5 years earlier. She had been his primary caretaker since age 16. She never left his side. Not even when it cost her education or her future. Suddenly, everything made sense, but the final shock came a week later. One evening, Adrian returned home early. He went to the security room out of habit, glancing at the live feeds. His blood ran cold. Leo was missing from his room. The camera switched angles. The playroom, empty. The hallway, empty. Panic surged through Adrian as he jumped to his feet. Then he saw it, the backyard camera. Clara was outside in the pouring rain, kneeling on the wet ground, shielding Leo with her own body as he convulsed in her arms. He was having a severe asthma attack. She screamed for help, her voice raw, but the storm drowned her out. She tore off her jacket, wrapped it around Leo, and began pounding on the glass doors with one hand while holding the inhaler to his mouth with the other. "Breathe, baby, please breathe," she sobbed. Adrian didn't think. By the time he reached the backyard, Clara's knees were bleeding, her clothes soaked, but she hadn't stopped. When Adrian grabbed Leo, Clara collapsed beside them, shaking, whispering apologies over and over like she had failed. Leo survived. At the hospital, the doctor turned to Adrian and said words he would never forget. "If she hadn't acted as fast as she did, your son wouldn't be here." Adrian sat beside Clara in the waiting room hours later. She stared at the floor, convinced she would be fired. Or worse, instead, Adrian did something no one had ever seen him do. He bowed his head. "I installed cameras," he admitted quietly. "Because I didn't trust you." Clara flinched. "But I was wrong," he continued, voice breaking. "You didn't steal my son's heart. You protected it when I was too afraid to face his pain." Tears streamed down Clara's face. From that day on, Adrian didn't just keep Clara as a nanny. He paid for her education. He moved her mother into proper medical care. And slowly, he learned to grieve, not alone, not behind walls of suspicion, but with the woman who had loved his son when he didn't know how. And the cameras, they were removed because trust, Adrian finally learned, doesn't need surveillance. If this story touched your heart, reminded you that kindness still exists, and showed you that love often comes from the least expected places, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. More powerful stories like this are coming, stories that change how you see the world, one moment at a time.